Hey folks, and welcome back to Stevie's Tech Talk after, yes, a long absence. I'll just get this out of the way. I'm going to tell you the news. I told you guys I was going to unretire, and I have unretired. I've actually finished my first week at my new job. It was amazing. I will be telling you all about it, but first I wanted to go ahead and give you an update on this channel. So this channel was so much fun, right? I mean, like, I so appreciate the dozens, if not scores of people who listened in and, commented and have told me, kind things about it. And I love it. This is a really fun, casual way to just kind of like share, experiences and general stuff. And it's been great. With that said, it had a couple of drawbacks, and I'll tell you what killed the show. It wasn't the fact that I got a new job. Actually, it was I killed the show because I was trying really, really, really hard to give you guys something new and exciting and different, which was a tour of this studio that I'm in. Okay, it's a bedroom so you're probably imagining something very different from what it looks like, but it's just a regular bedroom with really ugly wallpaper, but it has tons and tons of really cool like stations in it, like with cameras and mics and stuff, and they're all interchangeable, and I've put so much work into it. It's like basically a meta studio where you can actually build studios. Like right over there I have a keyboard, and like every once in a while it'd be fun to play something on it, right? Well, if I wanted to, make it a regular thing as part of this show, I would build a little mini studio over there with one of my extra cameras and mics, and right, because I've got spares of piles of cables, and it's a studio for building studios as well as actually using studios. And so I thought that was cool, right? And so I just wanted to like give you a walkthrough of it, right? That's it. It turned out to be quite the educational experience. Well, I mean, I learned that this show is a podcast. I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, I kind of knew, but I mean, like, I had always hoped to do something a little bit more interactive, dynamic. I don't know, right? I mean, just like something more than just me sitting and talking. So I figured the studio episode would be like the first one I could do that in. But the thing is, there's like probably like 12 or 15 like different stations in the studio. The sort of tool area, and then there's a bunch of little mini data center cabling areas, because I've got strip lights all through the studio too. I've got a lot of lighting in the studio. There's tons of lights, tons of instruments, right? And so I was going to do this thing, and I got out my tripod, and I moved my camera over to it and switched over to a battery, and then I got a little zoom, and I was kind of ready to go, but then like I had spent the whole day just kind of getting set up to talk, and so like no video that day, right? I'm like, fine, I've missed a video before. I'll shoot it next week, right? I've got the tripod and everything. And I went through 4 or 5 weeks of trying to shoot this video. I shot some practice runs of it, and it just wasn't coming together the way that I wanted it to. Because what I wanted was something that was, kind of timeless, right? I mean, like, you can always come back to it and say, hey, this was Steve's studio setup, and I can learn this and this and this from it, right? I can poach these ideas from it, right? And it's just a new medium. I'm actually quite good at video editing now, right? Final Cut and, setting up OBS and all that stuff. So I'm ready to go, but I mean, it's going to take a ton of work. It's just a lot of work. And folks, look, this show was intended to be like, hey, is there some cool content that I can produce that'll be fun for people and a day a week? I was actually hoping for less than a full day a week, but it actually takes like a full day to produce these episodes. This one that I'm doing like right now, Stevie's Tech Talk. And so it just wasn't right. It would have been worth it, but it wasn't. So then what happened was, like, after like 5 weeks, we're in the middle of summer and pandemic's basically over. And so, we were doing all sorts of stuff, and I started, what happened was, so the next thing that happened was I liked my studio setup so much, because I've been working on it for probably a year and a half or 2 years, that I decided to maybe just touch up a couple of other rooms. Just add a couple strip lights here and there, and add Alexa to the room so that I could control things. And, before long, like 6 weeks had gone by, and I was just remodeling my house like a crazy person. Here, I'll show you some pictures. Here is a picture of my closet, which I remodeled and put strip lights in. I mean, it only took a couple days, but like it was just a huge difference, right? Like my closet is now a place where I could go and like hang out in my closet. I mean, that's kind of weird, right? And, I put up a pegboard yesterday and, a bunch of shelves, and I put in a bunch of stuff. I mean, I'm in the middle of it. It's basically a renovation. We reorganized rooms. Lynn jumped in, and we've just been doing so much stuff, right? And then, week after week, I was just obsessed with remodeling my house. Summer went by, and then a couple of conversations started to heat up, right, with companies. I mean, like some really, really promising ones. And so I knew time was getting short, right? That I was going to have to go back to work soon. And when I go to work, I'm working. That's what I do, right? I mean, like day and night. So I knew that was coming. So I just took a little bit of a break. So I hope you will forgive me for the long absence. It did come from a place of good intent. I really wanted to do a nice video for you folks on my studio. I thought it would be fun, and it killed the show. And before it could get back on its legs, I switched into industry. So I'm not going to tell you about it today because I don't want to conflate the two, right? Like tying off the show like this. And by the way, look, I'm not going to kill it. This is it's all set up. So if I need to tell you guys about something that's not related to work, this is a great time for it. So, I'm sure we'll have a holiday special and occasional bonus content and whatever, right? But it's just that I'm going to be putting more work into the episodes, more thought into them, and hopefully they'll be higher quality for you, right? So not so much of a podcast anymore, but an actual video. We will see. Maybe I won't have any time at all. Or maybe the holiday content will just be one big poaching thing where I'm come work for me. I don't know yet, right? We'll see. But I am going to be doing a lot more content, but it's all going to be related to my new career. It's not just a job. I have a mission, right? I mean, I have really, really big ambitious goals in this new role. And so that's going to take all my time. If you want to, but I'm going to do lots of videos, right? Tons of videos. If you want to listen in, I think that it's likely that you're going to be able to listen into a lot of them, even though I'm doing the videos for my colleagues at the company that I've joined, which is Sourcegraph. They are pretty much the most open company in the world, and it's to a shocking extent. I mean, meeting notes and plans and financial projections, and a bunch of stuff is just all right there in the Sourcegraph handbook. It's so different from every other company, and so everything that I do, I have to now weigh and say, well, my instinct is to do this, in secret, or with a team or whatever, corporate secrecy. But the Sourcegraph model is you should first think, is there a way for you to do this openly, right? So I'm thinking that my weekly wraps, I'm gonna do a weekly wrap up, or whatever, just weekly, chats with Sourcegraph folks about our progress and our plans and everything. I think I'm just gonna stick them in the Sourcegraph handbook. I've been looking at this problem for a week, and that's looks like it's what's going to be. And then we'll go from there, right? I mean, that's mostly what I'm going to be talking about. But again, there's other interesting things happening in the industry. And so, maybe there'll be a chance for me to come back and do some Stevie's Tech Talks on more general topics. But I hope you guys can sort of appreciate why I'm doing this switch. As fun as this show was, Stevie's Tech Talk, or has been, it's pretty general, right? It's all generalist topics, general leadership, general management, whatever, right? And, there were a couple of times that I dove a little bit into specific tech and stuff, but I didn't talk about them that much, right? Except maybe in the Emacs episode. And I tried not to go too deep. It was that was the intent of the show, was to go general, right? And I hope it was kind of fun, right? But again, it's the kind of show that probably would only have really a broader audience if I spent a full week per episode, right? Or 2 weeks. And had a support team, somebody to carry around the Zoom so it doesn't keep banging against me while I'm doing my video, right? I mean, I don't, it's just, these things take work. They take money and work and time, and it's just I don't know what's going to happen, but I do want to do content that is better than this podcast. This podcast. So that's kind of where I'm at, folks. So to recap, show was a lot of fun. You folks have been great. People have been reaching out to me. People see me on the street, or they'll see me in a meeting or whatever, and they'll say hi and say that they like the show, and that's great, right? I mean, I love that. It's weird how often it actually happens, given that there's only 12 of you. But I guess I move in circles where there's a lot of like-minded people. So good to bump into to you folks, and yeah, feel free to say hi. But my attention is shifting to Sourcegraph, and there's no way I'm going to take the time here to explain that to you. It's an amazing and really exciting story in its own right, and the story of how I got to Sourcegraph is pretty crazy, and the story of where they're headed is like surprising and almost shocking and crazy, and it was such an amazing opportunity, just kind of out of a bolt of lightning. And I'll tell you all about it. Right? But I mean, like, that's the thing, right? That's what I'm going to talk about. That's what I'm passionate about, right? And so I can't really bring myself to talk about, just more like general stuff in the industry, right? I gotta do what I'm excited about. So maybe I'll see you there, right? Maybe I'll see you there, in my public team meeting videos for Sourcegraph or whatever they wind up being. So hey, folks, gosh, Stevie's Tech Talk, what an amazing journey this has been, right? It's been a year long. I think a little over a year in the making. It'd be about a year and a half because I spent 6 months prepping for it before the first episode. I was able to crank out roughly an episode a week for a year. I think that's kind of cool. Maybe some of the episodes have some useful, lasting content in them. Maybe I've made a few new Emacs users. Maybe a few new people adopt Flutter. I don't know. At some point, maybe it might be cool to like talk about some sort of technology stuff, that Sourcegraph uses. Like I could do an episode on Go. Would that be interesting? Like, comment in the channel if you think it would be interesting for me to talk about Go, because I never actually learned Go until about 5 weeks ago. And I'll tell you the story of how it happened and everything. But I mean, like, basically the TLDR is Go freaking rocks. Go is amazing, and I get that it's not for everyone, especially if you're from language communities where they're kind of snazzy. I guess I should probably be more specific about what snazzy means. I'll say I get it if Go's not your cup of tea. I've got a lot of friends who are, language designers in the language communities, and there are trends and fads and things going on in the language communities, and Rob Pike ignored all of them, and basically like when you sit down with Go, especially if you know like 50 other programming languages, right? Because Go's just another programming language, right? Every language has a flavor to it, right? And Go is infused with flavor. Okay, it's like you can just sort of see it just oozing out of the grammar and the semantics and the concurrency model and everything, right? It's basically like you can just sort of see this big cigar in his mouth, chomping on it, going, "All right, this is what we're gonna do." Right? And that's it, right? And it's so of course not everybody's gonna like it, because Go is like, you're gonna code it this way. It's very opinionated, right? It just happens that this way is the way I've been writing code for the last 25 years. So I liked it. So anyway, if you want me to do an episode on Go, I'd be happy to. I'm not an expert yet, but I did do a deep dive and wrote some code, and I'm going to be writing a lot more in the future, and that could be fun. Or on TypeScript, which is another language that they use. I don't know. Maybe we'll dig some nuggets out of the tech stack there that I can talk about, right? But I wouldn't expect more than like maybe a couple of episodes a year on this channel going forward. Especially since like I'm also trying to get a music channel off the ground. And right, when you only have a day a week, and these things take a day to produce, you start having to be real choosy. So I really do want to do a music channel. I will. I'm excited about it, even if you aren't. So hey, folks, this has just been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful ride on Stevie's Tech Talk. It was a cool experiment. It is like literally the only thing that I produced during the pandemic, right? Because I wasn't working, and I didn't write. I took copious notes on my novels, but I'm not going to start writing for probably at least another 6 years. And so I didn't produce anything during the pandemic. I don't even think I got one guitar recording done during the pandemic, and I have shot a video for it that's terrible, so I'm going to try to reshoot. That's it. This was it. This was what I got done during the pandemic. So that's kind of cool, right? I mean, I can look back at it and say, well, at least I did the Tech Talk series, right? 54 or whatever episodes. So I'm kind of proud of it. But hey, next time around it's going to be different. It's got to be different. At the very least, I've got to have more props, right? Like next to me, news, pictures, things I can point at, right? At the very least. So folks, again, thank you all. Thank you so much for watching the show. Since I keep hinting at a holiday special, I promise you I will drop a holiday special sometime around the dead of winter, and we'll go from there. But hey, I can't even begin. I can't even start to tell you how excited I am about my new job. I did look for a new job for a year, so I was pretty picky. And this one exceeded all of my expectations. So I hope you tune in. I will be letting you know, or I'll be talking more about it, like, next week and in the coming weeks. I'll switch my LinkedIn and all that stuff soon. And then, feel free to reach out and I'll tell you all about it. It's lots of fun. I think you'd probably be interested to hear about it, even if you're not interested in Sourcegraph specifically, like as an employer or as a potential collaboration or whatever. I think you'll just find it interesting just because it's such a wild technical space with a lot of really unique and interesting challenges, and the payoff and the reward for developers around the world, whether you're at a company or doing your own thing. I think there's going to be a step function thing happening in the next year or two, right? Sort of like when Stack Overflow came along, or IntelliJ first came along, or whatever. I mean, I think we're going to see that big of a step function, and Sourcegraph will be part of it. We'll be leading it, we'll be at the center of it. But I mean, it's going to be much bigger than Sourcegraph. It's going to be fun. I think you're going to like it. And there's going to be a call to action, and I'm going to be recruiting compiler people all around the world. I'll tell you all about it, but it is a long, detailed, interesting story. It's how I've occupied most of my time for the last 6 weeks, and I couldn't be more excited about it. So with that, folks, I will see you next time, whenever that is, or over on my Sourcegraph Handbook channel, where I'm going to start posting my videos, and next time on Stevie's Tech Talk.